Welcome everyone to my review of IDW Sonic issue 57 and the start of a brand new story arc, Urban Warfare. As always, this video will contain spoilers. You've been warned. Before we get to the issue, let me take a moment to talk about the primary setting for this arc, Eggperial City. Introduced during the Road to Issue 50 saga, Eggperial City is Eggman's current base of operations. From what we know about it so far, it's hexagonal with 6 different colored sections, with a central tower for Eggman to do his thing. Within the city itself, there are relics of the Doctor's history, including his old mechs, escape vehicles, and of course, there are a bunch of badniks. And that's just the surface level stuff. Who knows what surprises the city might have. Sonic's party was lucky to discover the city and escape when they could. Sonic himself believes as long as Eggperial City stands, Eggman has the ability to do massive damage to the world. Now's the time to do something about it. While the issue begins with some Eggperial City recon, there's actually a flashback to the mission briefing, so we'll start there. Sonic arrives at Restoration HQ where Tangle, Jewel, Whisper, and the sheep girl Lanolin are present. Jewel explains that while the Restoration's main goal is rebuilding and humanitarian aid, Lanolin made a case on how to expand into defending the people and the world from detectable threats, putting together a rapid response team made up of volunteers. The only ones who joined so far are herself, Tangle, and Whisper. Their first mission is to assess Eggman's new city base and hope to find a way to take it down. Sonic's here because of his previous visit to the city, and well, given it's Dr. Eggman in general, having his numero uno arch nemesis help the new restoration team wouldn't hurt. As for the name of this new team, Tangle blurts out, the Diamond Cutters. Oh Tangle, you just had to reopen that wound. Too bad for Whisper, Lanolin likes the name, so that's what they are. As they prepare to move out, Sonic wonders if he's met Lanolin before. Lanolin reminds him that he stopped by her village to deal with a badnik invasion way back in issue 2. Since then, she was inspired to do more, so she joined the Restoration, working directly with Jewel, and now she has assembled her own team. This brings us back to the beginning of the issue. Lanolin and Whisper see no signs of any defenses outside the city. This gives Sonic and Tangle the excuse to barge right in. They handle the badniks no problem. However, they're fighting in front of a red-eye mini-boss, and it just came online. Lanolin summons her magenta rhythm wisp to disorient the machine long enough for Whisper to blast it. Lanolin chastises Sonic and Tangle for their reckless actions, before turning her attention back towards the city. Using Whisper's hover wisp to gather aerial data, Lanolin compares it to the information Sonic's group provided last time, and concludes that the city has gotten bigger. Sonic then decides to take his own aerial survey with the green wisp. Hover! Upon his return, he says the area where they crashed last time is not only repaired, it's as if the crash never happened, like the area healed itself. Lanolin figures if the city is growing and can heal like a living being, it'll need resources to fuel itself. With no known mining equipment, and Tangle mentioning the trees looking sickly, looking underground seems like the best bet. They head down a nearby elevator to the city's underground tunnels, and deal with any badniks on their way to the lowest point. When they arrive, Whisper blasts a hole so Tangle and Lanolin can take a peek. What they find is nothing. The area has been hollowed out. It seems Eggman's new plan to take over the world is to let Eggperial City spread until it becomes the world. Sonic and Lanolin debate on whether they should do something now or gather additional help. There's actually a case for both ideas. Lanolin wants more forces due to Sonic having trouble the last time his party was here, and Sonic says any time spent gathering more help means the city will further expand. When Whisper suggests she stay behind to watch, Tangle shuts that idea down. The debate is interrupted by the arrival of drones generating a portal. One Sonic and Tangle recognize from Eggman's freaky tower in Test Run. Time to bail. The group find the elevator disabled and badniks along the vertical shaft. With the portal closing in, Sonic leads everyone up using the walls and badniks as stepping stones. It seems like they're going to make it. However, a zoomer badnik cheap shot Sonic, causing him to lose his grip on the girls. Into the portal they go. With more badniks entering the area, Sonic finds a hiding spot so that he can inform Jewel that he'll need reinforcements. And that's how the issue comes to an end. Alright, let's talk about the comic's Ascended Extra, Lanolin. An Ascended Extra, for those unaware, is when a background character gains more prominence as a series continues. A lot of times due to fans liking certain things about a character, and the creators catching notice. This definitely applies to Lanolin. As mentioned in the summary section, she made her debut in issue 2 as a random riverside villager that pleads to Sonic and Amy for help against the badniks. What stood out the most to people was her design. Heck, people were intrigued by her design when they saw her on one of issue 2's alternate covers. The creators definitely took notice, especially the artist for that issue, i.e. Lanolin's creator, Adam Bryce Thomas.
And Lanolin kind of crept up on me. Like, oh hey, there's some attention to this one cute background character that Adam drew once. Oh hey, she has a name. Oh hey, she's got a design now. Oh hey, she's the character.
Since then, whenever Adam worked on an issue, most of the time, he would sneak in Lanolin somewhere in the background. Kinda like a Where's Waldo situation. In fact, this really began in issue 13, the same issue the Restoration was first formed. She was among those that helped Amy with the paperwork. She kinda looked like a librarian there. Subsequent appearances have her dressed in a more militaristic style. It actually makes sense since she would see some action during the Megabeatman saga, being one of the few Restoration members not to get infected. Although, she got pretty close, courtesy of an infected Sonic sitting above her. You'd think she'd bring this up when reintroducing herself to Sonic, but that's probably a sore spot for both. Ever since Amy handed the keys to the Restoration over to Jewel, Lanolin's role has become more prominent. She was the one that escorted Belle to the machine shop, and she informed Jewel of the Chaot's arrival during the Zeddy incident, which brings us to today. I'm not surprised Lanolin came up with the idea of a rapid response fighting team. She's lived through the likes of badniks and zombots, so she knows the kind of threats Eggman's capable of producing. Plus, the Restoration needs more of a defense force after the pitiful display during the Zeddy attack. Game characters aren't always going to be around. Since this unit was her idea, naturally she would be the leader. So far, she seems to be one of those that need to get as much intel as possible before making a decision. I'm sure she'll get more comfortable as she gets used to her role as the leader of the new Diamond Cutters. And hey, like the old Diamond Cutters, she has her own Wisp buddy that seems to reside in her bell. That bell has been with her since her debut. So did it always contain that magenta Wisp? More than likely, she got the Wisp when she joined the Restoration at some point, and the bell just happened to be a comfortable resting spot for it. Now I'm curious to see if the magenta Wisp will actually be used with Whisper's Wispin. The opportunity is there. I'm still amazed that this random background character is being allowed to be an actual character. They could have created a completely new character all willy-nilly. Instead, they went with this direction. I'm guessing Sega loosened some restrictions regarding her because I distinctly remember her being on the cover of issue 30, but for some reason was removed in the final version. Odd considering her appearance on the aforementioned issue 2 alternate cover. I think the concern is, this character is tied to a certain artist, and Sega was worried that it might turn into another rights situation a la Ken Penders. That's just me speculating, I don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes. But hey, things seem to be changing because she appears on 2 alternate covers for this issue, and one of them's drawn by a different artist, Natalie Fordrain if you're wondering. That said, given this arc's interior line art will alternate between Adam and Thomas R., I think Lanolin falling into the portal with Tangle and Whisper is a convenient way to set her aside until we get to the next issue Adam worked on. Baby steps and all, though I will be happy if I'm proven wrong. One more thing about Lanolin is, well, her name. This arc would be the first time it would be officially used, and that includes solicitations and previews. Prior to the arc, her name was mentioned on various social media outlets by Adam and Ian. I wonder how many hoops they went through to make it stick. I assume she was named after the U.S. Acres character from Garfield and Friends. Speaking of names, this brings us to the long-tailed lemur in the room. I understand what Tangle was going for, naming their new team after Whisper's previous one just because the name sounds cool. Why do you think the issue's recap page has this panel from the Tangle and Whisper miniseries? However, this gained the ire of Whisper, and rightly so. Tangle, of all people, should know how bad Whisper emotionally suffered by the loss of her team. For crying out loud, she recently had a breakdown when she was this close to losing the Diamond Cutter Wisp to a power-hungry maniac. I don't blame her for giving Tangle the cold shoulder during the mission. Now you may think Tangle also wanted to honor the old Diamond Cutters by blurting out the name. That, and she's excited to see Whisper again in general. I would argue that it's Tangle's impulsive nature at work again, and like previous instances, she realized too late the consequences of her actions. Team Impulse. Now that's a name for a rapid response unit. Anyway, back on topic. Even Sonic showed more tact towards Whisper in this issue, and he's the guy that charges headfirst into an enemy city. To be fair, Sonic's always made sure Whisper is okay throughout the book. It's especially prevalent here given the recent Surge incident. By the way, totally called getting resolution for Whisper regarding the Wisp and her Wispin off panel. Though you gotta give credit to Belle for repairing the weapon, it's as if it never broke at all. Like Eggperial City. It's clear that the tension between Tangle and Whisper will be a plot point for a while, with Whisper showing disdain towards Tangle, and Tangle getting tired of Whisper's solo act. I mean, the reason Tangle temporarily left the Restoration was to find Whisper, who herself left because of Mimic. Yeah, that plot point seems to be swept under the rug. Okay, it was established that Tangle and Jewel were going to keep in touch, and the incident with Surge probably made Whisper realize going back to the Restoration would be a good idea for the moment. You can kind of connect the dots from there. Maybe an annual or flashbacks will fill in some gaps because, as of right now, it feels a bit jarring. Going back to the Tangle and Whisper tension in this issue, either it'll probably work out as this arc goes along, or, given how the two plus Lanolin are separated from Sonic, in their own little side adventure parallel to urban warfare. We'll just have to see. Before moving on, I will say that while Tangle's actions may have readers give her the stink eye, there are still some likable things about her, like her face when she begs the Wisp to fuse with her, and then there's using her tail to roll down fast. Now that Tangle's been officially classified as a game character, makes you wonder if this will be a good gameplay mechanic. And I'm not joking about her being an official game character. Minor Sonic Frontier spoilers incoming.
I bet Tangle would love climbing around these ruins.
We found out one of Eggperial City's dark secrets. It's more or less a parasite feeding off the world and growing with the apparent goal of consuming the entire planet. This brings up some questions. The big one being, how has Eggman achieved this? I'm sure it'll be answered in the story. Otherwise, how else will the hero stop it? Still, Eggman's diving into another major world-dominating scheme using creepy methods. The previous attempt being the metal virus, and we all know how that turned out, and now appears to be a genius loci situation. Given that a test run portal was present, I have a theory that Eggman did experiments in that tower other than the freaky mismatched badniks, and that might be related to Eggperial City's development. Maybe it was those reality-altering environments. It would at least prove he salvaged something from the tower prior to its implosion. Let's move on to some lighthearted material. Always appreciate nods to the games, especially that of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And no, I will never stop gushing about that game whenever a nod to that one pops up. Though I did find it interesting that many of the badniks from the vertical shaft are from Sonic 2's sky levels. To wrap this up, this was a decent start full of mystery and the potential for character conflict. At the same time, there are questions to be answered such as, what other things can Eggperial City do? Where did the new Diamond Cutters go? Can Tangle and Whisper work things out? And will Lanolin be allowed to appear in stories not penciled by Adam Bryce Thomas? Well, we just finished part 1 of a 5-part arc, so we'll have plenty of time for some answers. For the moment though, Sonic's in need of reinforcements, so come back next time as he'll get some much needed help in issue 58. See you then.